Another thing I want to do is go back and do like annual town meetings and special town meetings and things like that, and start taking, because I type them up on this, and take those records and put them in plastic sleeves and protect those. But it's our older binders that you can't. They're in books like this. Some of them are larger than that, and they're this thick.
Right, yeah, monstrous.
And every time you have to open up one of those pages are ripping and brittle. So
Yeah.
that's the documents that we really need to preserve.
Once they're gone, they're gone.
And some of the other books, they just took some of the stuff and they just stapled, Scotch tape. I mean, we need to get them cleaned up so that we can read them.
Can you make a note that we can discuss at our budget meeting? Try to put in a line item.
Yeah.
And that's why I gave you that letter to go over that, so you can be just looking at it before we go, and I will bring it up again when we go through the budget.
It's one of those things that we should definitely put in, and we can start the oldest and slowly work our way up.
Right.
That way we don't have one huge lump sum.
Right.
Exactly. It's not something we can do all at once, but it needs to be done. And it's one of those things that every time we're cutting something and they say, well, we don't really need to do that. You're not working with that book. You don't understand how bad it's getting. That we really do need to start looking at that. And the fact is, if something happens, we've got nothing for a backup. All those records will be lost.
And you're losing your history too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are we held by any state statute to have to maintain those archival records? I mean, I'm sure there's people that would think that, what do we want to spend $28,000 on keeping a bunch of old paper around?
It's for your protection. When people have voted on things, and you have to go back and make sure that you're abiding by what was voted on or amended or whatever, that's your protection to go back and look at. You can have a lawsuit. We go through these books all the time looking things up.
I mean, road discontinuations are in there.
Oh, yeah.
Some of the documents where some of these roads were laid out
Right away.
are in
Yeah,
there.
I'm still trying to get mine blocked. No, just kidding.
Right after I get mine
Thank you.
blocked.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Betty.
Appreciate it.
Open free.
All right. And the last thing is public comment. Have
Well,
any comment?
that was the last thing will be our executive session.
Public comment, George.
Next to last.
Comment on your issues that you were just talking about? No. But
No.
I do have some concerns on some things, if you don't mind. People in Lubec received some things in there. There was a survey.
Yeah.
Could you explain what that was about? Was it first sent out by Lubec, or was it sent out by someone else?
No, it's in a town a little bit.
Send it like that.
Could you explain?
Yeah,
What happened is we had our public works project, and at the meeting where it was voted down, there was lots of people who didn't feel they were informed enough or had enough input on the decisions. And most of the people agreed that they felt that it was a needed project, but they had different ideas on how it should be done. So we've sat back and looked at all the criticisms that we've taken and realized that we need to gather more information. We need to try to get the pulse on what the townspeople want as far as location, how big it needs to be. So we figured rather than starting a new committee from scratch and starting, with just the committee's ideas, that we would put out a survey to try to get a larger number of people's input so that we could better represent the town and see how they felt we should move forward, if we should or not move forward.
Excuse me. So you don't mind if I say that, do you?
No.
We're hoping now that once we get all the surveys in, that we'll have a much broader sense of what the townspeople want us to do or not want us to do, and how they want us to continue or not.
No, I understand. Now, I just want to say, listen, I'm not against this project. I understand it has to be done. But this was voted on by the townspeople. Whatever you say that other people aren't informed, it was voted on.
One version was voted on, yes. The version that was presented, it doesn't mean they don't.
Well, there was two projects on one bill that was voted down. One, that's what we say, instead of do it individually. Being that both projects were voted down, you're almost sending a message saying, well, we didn't get our way, let's do it again.
That's Augusta. We do that all the time. Anything comes up to vote all the time, it just comes back out every year. They want something. It works the same way in a small town like.
Let you keep on
Right.
voting on
Well,
it
but
until.
Let me respond.
Okay.
Right. See, we presented a large project that had multiple parts in it, and in hindsight, should we have presented it different? Should we have gone about things different? Probably. So the whole purpose of the survey is to not say, you know, we want to pressure you into voting for a project or not, because at this point we have no project. We're in a fact gathering stage, and maybe people voted it down because they didn't want the garage and the salt shed at the same time. Maybe they didn't like the design of our salt shed. We don't know, because we didn't give them any options looking back. We gave them one package deal, you can prove it or not. They chose not to
Good
approve
approach.
it. So now we're trying to
Good
figure out
approach.
what was the issues that people had, and how can, if it was the entire thing, then we'll know that after this. Or if some people just didn't like individual parts, or have more creative ideas that we've missed, because, you know, I can't sit here and tell you I've thought of every idea ever, because no one can. So we're hoping that with this type of survey, that we can break it down to see what the people's issues were, some solutions that they hope to get, and other projects that could possibly be looked at, not just the sand and salt shed. There's also another whole category where people can write in projects they feel the town should be looking into, which before, and ultimately in the long run, that will help us, because I don't know what every citizen's opinion is on things. And I'm hoping that this survey, enough people will put in information that we can get a better picture of it.
I think we've talked up this survey for 2 months' worth of select board meetings prior to mailing it out to 1,600 residents.
Plus
So-
the power of the internet.
And it can be filled in online.
Yes.
So you are saying that basically what people voted on in Lubec, it stands. It was voted down.
No,
The project that we presented was voted down.
it's gone.
Even though you admit yourself that it's a necessary
It is.
project.
And what we're asking is, how do we move forward? You know, we've put together a proposal on this site with these two structures. Some of the feedback that we got was that the location was not,
Safety.
there was some safety issues with the location. So we presented other locations, other pieces of property that the town owns. Also on the survey, there's an other. So if somebody knows of an idea, put it on. I mean, we understand how the taxpayers feel. And a lot of the information that we're getting back is there are concerns of the cost. So by breaking it down as 2 separate buildings, that would cut the cost, do one, pay for it, do the other. Is that something people could support? We're asking people to give us information so we can put together a project to move it forward that can be
If they want
supported.
it supported. If
If
they
they
all
want
say
it.
that, no, we don't feel we need any of this, then
But here's another thing.
Well,
This sand, excuse me.
I kind of disagree with that, because we're faced time and time again with problems of both our garage and our sand
Right.
pile. So it's not something that we're gonna be able to ignore.
That's
Well,
what,
we're on
that was my
so-
next question.
We're grandfathered in on
Something-
this.
If you have to do the same, how are you gonna go about?
We're grandfathered in on the sand pit thing. I mean, we need a sand shed.
It's still a health issue.
But
That's right,
it's a
and we're
health issue for
grandfathered in
neighbors.
from the state that they gave us a certain amount of time. So we, as being the board, have got to show the state at this point in the game, that we're trying to do something and to get the input from the people. And if it's just a sand shed, at least that's the health hazard thing in the location.
Okay, well then, yes.
Just that,
I mean, you raise a good point.
yeah.
I felt bad the other day when a resident of the Gray Apartments invited me to his house to show me the silica grit on the windowsills. And he said, well, I'll bring you some. And I'm like,
I'll bring it.
and he said, I don't understand why people don't see the need for this. And I said, well, some people do and some people don't. And I totally understand that if you have a little bit of an ability to stop an impending possible tax increase, you're going to. It's a very, it's a human nature response. Although we still have the problem. So we're continuing on trying to come up with a solution. And we're looking for help